Welcome to this week's Rogers McHugh YouTube video. In this week's episode we're going to look at the 4 biggest mistakes I feel recruiters make. Let's go! Welcome to this week's Rogers McHugh YouTube video. So in this week's episode we're going to look at the 4 biggest mistakes I think recruiters make when they're doing the job day to day. And it's things that I think a lot of people fall into the trap. So I'll run through them quickly and then I can obviously dive into them a little bit more. So the 4 mistakes that I think recruiters make, and the biggest mistakes, are making assumptions, not qualifying the job orders, treating all job orders as equal, and complacency. They're the 4 things that I think all recruiters, or a lot of recruiters, make the mistake of. So making assumptions, the first part of that. I think that I'm talking here, and these are kind of all linked really, but I'm talking about when you've dealt with a client for a long time, or you've dealt with a candidate for a long time. If you're a temp recruiter, so if you're a temp recruiter, you've dealt with a candidate for a long time. They might have done 10, 15, 20 jobs for you. Your assumptions are, you know what rate they want, you know what work they're prepared to do, you know what work they can do, you know what locations they're prepared to work in, and it gets to the stage where when you get your job in off your client, when you make your call with your candidate that first time, you're verifying everything, you're making sure that they're happy with everything. The more you work with the candidate, the more you just assume, yeah, no, I know he'll be all right for that. I know he doesn't mind doing that kind of work. I'll use him on that job. And in some cases, you end up in a position where the candidate turns up to work. It's not what they wanted to do. They've got no interest in doing the job, and they potentially let you down. And this could be a candidate that you've worked with for a long time. On the flip side of that, you can make assumptions around clients as well. So you've worked with a client for a long time, you know what type of candidate they look for, and we're kind of falling into trap 2 here. So I'll kind of combine these together now. You don't qualify the job properly. So you've worked with the client a long time. You think you know what type of candidate they're looking for. You assume you know what type of candidate they're looking for. So you don't go through all the questions that you would ask. And if it was a new client, you don't necessarily ask for updates on the team. You assume you know the size of the team. And you end up getting a half-baked job spec. And all that leads to is that you're putting forward the wrong candidates for the role. It might be that something's changed, so the area that they do the work might have changed. The type of work that they do might have changed. The value of the work might have changed. The size of the team might have changed that you're recruiting to go into. I mean, if it was a team of 5 and you're selling it on a team of 5 and you didn't realise that 4 people had left, it's very different going into a team of 5 than it is going into a team of 1, where you'll become the second person. So don't make assumptions, and make sure that you're taking that you're qualifying every job order that comes in. I've put them 2 together because you tend to make assumptions when it's a client that you've worked with for a long time, or a candidate that you've worked with for a long time. When it's a new client, you do tend not to make assumptions, but I do see people getting emails to their inbox and them saying, right, I've got a job and I'm going to work it. Well, that's an inquiry, it's not a job. We've not validated the job. We don't understand all the details behind the job. We don't know when they want it to start, although it might be on the email. We don't know what the size of the team is. We don't know what the exact roles and responsibilities are. We don't know what type of person is going to fit into the team. We may not have met that client before. We might not have agreed terms with them. Getting an inquiry in is very different to getting the job in. And for me, it's a little bit like your salesman and your marketeer. Your marketeer is driving the inquiries. So as and in recruitment, you are the marketeer and you are the salesperson in this scenario. So a marketeer drives inquiries into your business or into your desk, and a salesperson closes them. So the inbound order or the inbound lead, the email, it could have come from anywhere. It could have come from a mail shot that you've sent. It could have come from LinkedIn outreach that you're doing. It could have come from, like we've had recently, where a client's reached out to us because they've seen our activity on LinkedIn. But that's a marketeer's job. So you've done the job of a marketeer. You've got an email from a client that says they're looking to hire. Right, now you've got to do the job of the salesperson. And the job of the salesperson is to turn the inquiry, and this is going to sound really silly, into a sale. The salesperson has to turn the inquiry into the sale. Or in this case, the inbound inquiry into the full job order. By turning it into the job order, by qualifying it properly, you've done the salesperson's job. You've turned it from an inquiry into a bona fide job that you can then go and work and find candidates for. Number 3, all job orders are being treated as equal. And that is absolute garbage. If you've got a list of 10 jobs that are on your desk at the minute, you need to be grading those. And those jobs can be graded based on the relationship you've got with the client, the commitment that you've got with the client, potentially the terms of business that you've got with the client as well. Obviously, if you've got 10 jobs and you can't fill them all, you want to be working with the ones that are going to give you the biggest return. But also, again, if you're operating in a niche and you're speaking to candidates every day, which of these jobs are going to be easier to find candidates for? Which of these jobs do you already have a pool of candidates for? Which ones do you know straight away by looking at the jobs? And everybody knows it in their market. I know when a job comes into our business, which ones are more likely to be filled than not. And I know which ones are less likely to be filled than not. And you know, if you've got a job there it might be the biggest fee or the biggest potential fee, and you might have had fantastic commitment off the client, and they might have told you exactly when they want to interview. But if you know you're not going to find a candidate for that role, or it's very difficult that you're going to find a candidate for that role, that bumps it down the list of priorities, because it might be the biggest fee. But if you can fill 2 smaller fees in the time it's going to take you to find that candidate, or not find that candidate as the case may be, then obviously it doesn't become the biggest fee. So don't treat all job orders as equal. Don't literally work down the list and say, right, I'm going to spend half an hour on that one, I'm going to spend half an hour on that one, and I'm going to spend half an hour on that one. Let's prioritise. Grade your jobs based on a number of things, and we can put a video together about this if you're interested in how we grade our jobs, and then start working with the highest priority ones first, because that's how you're going to be the most successful recruiter you can be. And number 4, complacency. See this all the time with experienced recruiters. Oh, that client, I've worked with them for years, they'll always work with me. They'll always work with me, they love me, I've worked with them for years, not going anywhere, they definitely won't use another agency. Or they're telling me that I'm doing a brilliant job, they're definitely going to give me a call next time they've got a requirement. They've told me not to ring them, they'll ring me the next time they've got a requirement, because they're really happy with what we've done on the last campaign and how we filled it. They're things that you're told all the time. And then what you hear 3 months later is, oh, they've just placed somebody with Joe Blogg's agency, or a new decision maker's just gone into that business and they've started using another agency that they had a relationship with at the previous employer. You can't be complacent, especially around clients that you're working with, because it's easily done, but ultimately it's so much easier to keep a good relationship with a client that you've done a good job for than it is to constantly go out and win new work. It's easier to not be complacent and give the service to your current clients than it is to go out and win new work. So what you want to be doing is you want to be giving your current clients the best service. You want to be making sure there's a reason for the call. So if they've told you not to ring them all the time, don't necessarily ring them all the time, but make sure there's a reason for the call. Have you seen something in the news that might impact your client? Have you seen that somebody's moved jobs within their industry that might impact the client? In which case, the call's not about recruitment, it's about something completely different. But what you are doing is you're saying, I'm still here, I still want to work with you, I still want you to be a key client of mine, and I want to get the opportunity when you're recruiting, because the worst thing that could happen is you don't ring them, you do what they say, you get complacent, you think they'll ring me when they've got a job, and it might be that somebody leaves in the morning and 20 minutes later a different recruiter rings them, and it's front and centre of mind to say, oh, actually yes, we do need somebody because so-and-so's just handed the notice in. We need to jump on it. We need to get some CVs for it. If that agency then does a good job and gets the CVs to them quickly and they're qualified and they're referenced and it's all on point, you're going to miss out on that opportunity, and you don't want to be missing out on that. So 4 mistakes there that I think a lot of, not all, but a lot of recruiters can make, especially as they're moving through the career. So I'd be interested to know what your thoughts on this are. Is there anything that I've missed, or are there any other mistakes that you think recruiters make? If so, hit them up in the comments and we'll reply. But most importantly, we're looking at some stats this week. 70% of the viewers last week weren't subscribed to the channel. So 70% of the people that were viewing the video weren't subscribed to the channel. So if you are one of those 70%, please do subscribe to the channel, because we are trying to grow the number of people that the videos go out to. The YouTube algorithms loves subscribers, so the more people get subscribing, the more people will view the videos. And we'll be back next week for another video. See you then.